Good morning everyone. In our today's video, we shall try to understand Geography lesson number 16. The name of the chapter is given here, Moisture in the Air. In this chapter, we shall be mainly discussing about few points. First of all, you need to know what is the meaning of the word moisture. Moisture means we can say dampness. We have already got in some other earlier chapters of geography that the earth can be divided into four spheres: atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. Air, it is of atmosphere, and while explaining about the composition of atmosphere, I already told you that in the atmosphere, along with the different types of gases, water is also present. That water which is present in the air is known as the moisture. Let's start the chapter. The water vapor in the air is called moisture. As I already told you just before some time that the water vapor which is present in the air or in the atmosphere is known as the moisture. The quantity of it is not same all over. No doubt, water vapor is present in the air everywhere, but we can say the quantity of the moisture or the water vapor in the atmosphere is not same in all the places. It changes from time to time and it also changes from place to place, and different factors are there which are responsible for the change of this amount of water vapor. Like we can say temperature. If temperature will be more, the moisture will be less. If temperature is less, moisture will be high. Even we can say wind. If the wind blows fast, this water vapor will be less. If the speed of the wind is low, the water vapor will be more. So because of these reasons, the quantity of the atmosphere is not same. It changes from place to place and it changes from time to time. From oceans or the other water bodies, the water evaporates and goes in the sky, and from sky it comes down on the land through the process of water cycle. I shall be explaining you about the water cycle just after some time. Just you need to know one thing. From oceans or the other water bodies, on the earth's surface different water bodies are there, and the water from these water bodies, because of the sun's heat, it gets evaporated and goes into the sky, and from the sky again it comes down on the land through the process of water cycle. We can say in the process of water cycle, three processes are involved. Number one process is evaporation, the second process is condensation, and the third process is precipitation. In our first video, you can see this is the part 1 of this chapter. We shall be discussing about evaporation and condensation, and in our next video I shall explain you about the process of precipitation. Well, first of all, we shall discuss the first process which is involved in the water cycle, that's about evaporation. You see, the process by which water changes into water vapor and enters the atmosphere is called evaporation. The very simple meaning of the word evaporation is, in evaporation, the water, it changes into vapor, or we can say gas. You can easily understand if I'll take one very simple example. After washing our clothes, we spread it in the sunlight, and after some time we get the dry cloth. I think you have wondered where this water goes. Generally, this water gets evaporated and mixes with the atmosphere, and this process in which the water on the earth's surface, it is changed into vapor or gas, is known as evaporation. The rate of evaporation depends on temperature. The rate of evaporation everywhere it is not the same, and at all the places it is not the same, and even at all time it is not the same. It mainly depends on three factors. The first factor is temperature, the second factor is degree of dryness of the air, and the third factor is movement of air. If temperature is more, evaporation will be more. If temperature is less, evaporation will be less. Degree of dryness of the air: if the air is dry, evaporation will be more. If the air is moist, evaporation will be less. Even movement of air: if the movement of air is fast, evaporation will be faster. If the movement of air is slow, evaporation will be slower. The amount of water vapor present in the air at a given time and a given temperature is called humidity. It is one very important term, humidity. What is the meaning of it? You see, the amount of water vapor present in the air at a given time and a given temperature is called humidity. In a particular place, one restricted place, suppose this much area, and here given time, one time will be given, suppose say at 10 a.m. At 10 am, let the temperature of this area is 14 degree Celsius. So we can say the amount of water vapor which is present in this particular place at 10 am at the temperature of 14 degree Celsius is known as humidity. We feel uncomfortable when humidity and temperature are high during rainy days because we perspire but the sweat does not evaporate as the air is moist and humid. This one I think you have felt in your life. Suppose it's a rainy day, it's raining very heavily, but at the same time it's very hot. That means temperature is high as well as humidity is also high. At that time what will happen? We will sweat. But as the temperature is high but it is raining, the air is moist, it will not be able to absorb our sweat, and that's the reason why we will feel uncomfortable during those days. So that's about evaporation. Even you can see from this figure that I'm going to show you now, you just think this is the water body, maybe river, maybe ocean, any water body is this, and during daytime because of the sunlight the water from the water bodies will be evaporated, means the water will be formed into vapor and it will be going into the sky. This process where the water it changes into vapor and it goes into the sky is known as evaporation. This is a simple meaning of evaporation, in which the water from the water bodies gets evaporated and mixes in the atmosphere or in the sky. Now comes the second process of the water cycle, condensation. It is just opposite to the process of evaporation. The change of water vapor into droplets of water or snow is called condensation. See, in evaporation we have got water changes into vapor, but in condensation vapor it changes into water. That process is known as condensation. The air is said to be saturated when it holds the maximum vapor it can hold, and it is called unsaturated when it holds less amount of water vapor than it can retain. Here two terms you should know, one is saturated, another one is unsaturated. You know, everything has got a limit. Our tolerance has got one limit, and different other things, they also have got one limit. At the same time, air also has got one limit to hold or to retain the water. If the air holds the maximum vapor it can hold, that air is known as saturated air, means it cannot retain any more moisture or water. And if the air it holds less amount of vapor than it can hold, that air is known as unsaturated air. Another term is here, the temperature at which the air is fully saturated. When the air is fully saturated, that is known as the dew point. What is the meaning of dew point? Now the air is not able to retain or to hold a single more drop of water. That air is known as that temperature is known as the dew point at which the air is fully saturated. So I hope you have understood about the terms saturated, unsaturated and dew points. Now we are going to study about the different types of condensation. Okay, types of condensation. We can say condensation can be classified into four types. Let's study one by one. The first one that I have taken here is clouds. Clouds, everybody you have seen clouds. If we look up we can see the clouds. When moist air moves upward and reaches the dew point, the vapor condenses in the form of small droplets of water. As we already got that in the process of condensation, the water vapor it changes into droplets of water. Now, when this moist or the damp air it goes upward, it moves upward into the atmosphere, it generally condenses and it forms small droplets of water. These droplets cling to the dust particles and hang in the air in the form of clouds. Actually we can say clouds are also one form of water, because these are the water droplets which are generally condensed when the air reaches below the dew point in the atmosphere. And as we already got about the composition of atmosphere, that in the atmosphere dust particles are also there. Generally, this water vapor, when it will condense and it will form small droplets, these small droplets will hang or will cling with the dust particles which are present in the atmosphere, and that is known as the clouds. I shall show you the figure. First, let me explain. The second type of condensation is fog. About this also you have heard, you have seen. Fog is formed in the same way as clouds, with the only difference that fog is formed near the surface of the earth or water bodies. We can say fog, the formation of fog as well as clouds is same. Just the difference is cloud is formed at the upper layer of the atmosphere and fog is formed on the lower layer of the atmosphere. It is found generally with the earth's surface or with the surface of the water bodies. I think you have seen during the winter season at night or even during the morning time, this fog is generally formed over the earth's surface. The third type of condensation is dew. At night, everything radiates heat which it absorbs during the day. During daytime, all the things, the plants, the animals, they absorb the heat, and during night time they radiate the heat. When warm and moist air comes into contact with them, its moisture condenses and into small droplets of water which are known as dew. During daytime, the plants, I am taking the example of plants, they absorb the heat, and during night, the leaves of the plant, they generally release the heat. And when the warm and the moist air comes into contact with the leaves, automatically the moisture in the air, it condenses or it cools down and it forms small droplets of water which are generally known as the dew. You have heard about dew drops. In the morning, if we will come out, we can see droplets of water on the leaves of the different plants which are generally known as dew. The last one is here frost. It is the last type of condensation. If the dew drops get frozen due to fall in temperature, it is called frost. Frost is generally the converted form of dew. Dew is water droplets. Now, suppose at night dew is formed and the temperature goes below 0 degree Celsius. You know 0 degree Celsius is the freezing point. If it goes below 0 degree Celsius, these dew drops, it will form some in the form of ice, what you can see just in after 1 or 2 months here itself also, and that form is known as the frost. So these are the different types of condensation. Now let me explain you the process of condensation. Evaporation, we have already got the water of the different water bodies, it gets evaporated and it forms vapor through the process of evaporation. Now, as I told you that in the atmosphere dust particles are present, dust particles are there in the atmosphere. When this condensed water vapor will reach the upper layer of the atmosphere, because of decrease in temperature, this vapor, it will form into droplets of water, and these droplets or the drops of water, it will cling with these drops of dust particles. So clouds will be formed. So you can see here in the process of condensation, the vapor generally changes into water. So I hope it is clear about the process of condensation and evaporation. Now about the types of condensation, I have told you the first type we have got about cloud, the second one we have got about fog, the third one we have got about dew, and the last one we have got about frost. See, just consider this is the earth's surface. From here, from the water bodies, the water will be evaporated, and this evaporated water, it will reach at the upper layer of the atmosphere, and here these droplets will be changed into drops of water and will cling with the dust particles which is known as clouds. And sometimes what happens, because of this change in temperature, the same thing it happens near the earth's surface, not at the upper layer but at the lower layer of the atmosphere. Generally in the winter season, this is known as fog. The formation of cloud and fog is same, just cloud is formed in the upper layer of the atmosphere and fog is formed at the lower layer of the atmosphere. Dew, suppose this is one plant, the leaf of the plant, it will absorb the heat during the Daytime. At night, this lip, it will radiate the heat, and when the moist air will come in contact with this lip, then the water vapor which is present in the atmosphere, it will be converted into drops of water. These drops of water is generally known as dew. And if the temperature will go below the 0 degree Celsius, these drops of water will be converted into ice, which is known as frost. I hope it is clear about the different types of condensation. Now we are going to study the last portion of this video, evaporation and condensation compared, the differences between evaporation and condensation. If you have understood about the process of evaporation and condensation, you can easily find out the differences. I have tried to show you here 4 differences. The first difference is, through evaporation, water changes into vapor. I already told you, in the process of evaporation, water, it changes into vapor, while in condensation, vapor changes into water, just opposite. In evaporation, water to vapor; in condensation, vapor to water. That's the first difference. The second one is, evaporation takes place more in high temperature. If temperature is high, evaporation will be high, and condensation takes place more in low temperature. You can see it is closely related to temperature. Temperature is high, evaporation is high; temperature is low, condensation is high. Third difference is here, evaporation takes place more in lower latitudes, but condensation takes place more in higher latitudes. If this is the Earth's surface, evaporation takes place in the lower portion or lower latitude, but condensation takes place in the upper latitudes. The last one is here, because of evaporation, water on the Earth's surface decreases because it goes in the sky in the form of water vapor. But due to condensation, the amount of water goes on increasing because again the water vapor, it changes into water. So these are the differences between the evaporation and condensation. You need to go through the video, try to understand the points, read the chapter. If any doubt is there, please get it cleared from me. Thank you very much.